The Queen has been taken off the world stage, and everyone who's well educated on the New World Order knows this is the end of an era and the beginning of a new one. Things are about to get very crazy, very quick. Queen Elizabeth's corpse is still warm, and her son and successor, the man formerly known as Prince Charles, has already vowed to usher in the Great Reset in line with the World Economic Forum's evil agenda.
We have a golden opportunity. We have a unique but rapidly shrinking window of opportunity to learn lessons and reset ourselves.
According to Charles, we need a vast military-style campaign to usher in the agenda of the WEF.
Here we need a vast military-style campaign to marshal the strength of the global private sector, with trillions at its disposal, far beyond global GDP, and with the greatest respect, beyond even the governments of the world's leaders.
This should come as no surprise because Charles, a direct descendant of Dracula, has been working towards the implementation of a globalist agenda his entire life. According to NPR, Prince Charles said during a 2011 interview, "Transylvania is in my blood. The genealogy shows that I'm descended from Vlad the Impaler." In case you need a quick history refresh, during the 1400s, Vlad III, commonly known as Vlad the Impaler or Vlad Dracula, was the Prince of Wallachia, modern-day Romania. According to NBC, his father adopted the last name of Dracul, meaning dragon, which meant Vlad's last name became Dracula, son of the dragon. By all accounts, he was an extremely violent ruler.
The genealogy shows that I'm descended from Vlad the Impaler, you see. So I do have a bit of a stake in the country.
Britain and the Commonwealth now have a sovereign who is descended from a tyrant who dipped his bread in the blood of his impaled victims. So perhaps it's not surprising that Charles is close friends with Klaus Schwab, who might even be an upgrade on the company Charles is used to keeping. Prince Charles was best friends with Britain's most notorious paedophile, Jimmy Savile, regularly hosting him at royal estates and using him as a sounding board for advice. Charles even asked Savile, who raped hundreds of children over the course of decades in the public eye, to write an etiquette guide to be followed by the Queen.
Arbiter speaking to the Guardian newspaper said Savile would seize young secretaries by the arm and then run his lips up to their shoulder. He added if it was summer, his bottom lip would curl out and he would run it up their arms. This was at St James's Palace, and he added that Savile's behaviour was a cause for concern. Reports of Savile's unusual behaviour in royal circles came about as details emerged of a surprise role for him as a counsellor for Prince Charles and Princess Diana during their marital difficulties, and a request from Prince Charles to help with the image of Sarah Ferguson.
Now that Savile is dead and Charles's brother Andrew isn't allowed to keep company with Jeffrey Epstein any longer, Charles is spending his time rubbing shoulders with young global leaders in the corridors of the World Economic Forum. 2022 is the year of change, with world leaders across the globe being removed or facing assassination, with even the Pope suggesting he is about to stand down, while ordering all money to be returned to the Vatican Bank. Any world leaders who are still standing are firmly under the control of the World Economic Forum. Prince Charles can be added to their number. Here they are making the occult pyramid symbol they are so fond of flashing. The sign is the central bank's control symbol. It is the same as the pyramid on the back of the $1 bill. Here is that same symbol now at the IRS headquarters in Maryland. This is a universal symbol appearing all over the globe and denotes a religion that believes in and worships a god, but not the God. Here it is again, a part of Israel's Supreme Court. The reason those world leaders are flashing that sign, and the reason it appears so often across the world, is that all governments are controlled by their central bank. All central banks are controlled by the BIS, the central bank of central banks, which is openly calling for a CBDC to enslave the world by allowing the BIS to determine, in real time, how, when, if, and what you can spend your money on.
All our analysis on CBDC, in particular for the use of general use, we tend to establish the equivalence with cash. And there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also we will have the technology to enforce that. Those two issues are extremely important, and that makes a huge difference with respect to what cash is.
We are getting close to the top of the pyramid now, but who controls the BIS? Many people say it's the Rothschilds. Meyer Amschel Rothschild, the patriarch of the notorious banking clan and founding father of international finance, famously said, "Permit me to issue and control the money of a nation, and I care not who makes its laws." And Meyer Amschel Rothschild's descendants appear to be reveling in that power. Who gets to poke a prince in the chest? Evelyn de Rothschild, direct descendant of Meyer Amschel Rothschild. That's who. With their printed imaginary fiat, the central banks control the minds of men and thus all nations. This has been true since their inception and is their raison d'etre. The love of money really is the root of all evil. But it gets worse. Those at the top of the pyramid can't leave anything up to chance. And so instead of just relying on money to corrupt and control politicians, leaders, musicians, pundits, and anybody with a big audience and thus a wide reach, they turn to horrific methods of control like the following to get those influencers under their thumb.
You know, that's one of their most common forms is they start off with different forms of blackmail, and it eventually will evolve to, where they get you drugged or drunked or roofied, and they get a picture of you with a child. And then from there, it's like you have a choice, at that point. Are you going to be in the system or are you not? If you're going to be in the system, everything under the sun that you could desire or want is going to be offered to you. If you choose not to be in the system, the threat is death to you, and most of all to anybody you love or anything you love. They will start to take away everything and torture you until you decide to give in and be part of the system.
Every world leader and most entertainers and news broadcasters are compromised in this way, meaning they are all doing the bidding of their masters at the top of that pyramid. This bidding equates to corrupting all minds, sexualizing children, transhumanism, depopulation, and global tyranny and slavery for the survivors. This is why they are all singing the same songs and enacting the same destructive policies. They want to induce a mental health crisis, along with war, famine, pestilence, and death.
It's a very pertinent question to ask, how do we build back better?
To build back better or whatever.
We have a chance to reset the clock and build back better than before.
To build back better than before.
Remember the terrible damage of COVID as we try to build back from this global pandemic.
Joe Biden calls it build back better.
Build back better.
Building back better.
To do things differently. To build back better.
We're going to build it back better.
And build it back better.
It's my plan to build back better.
Start taking all the problems that have been created in education and mental health and start to build back in a positive way.
I have launched a booklet called Build Back Better, Britain After Coronavirus.
It's about building this country back better.
Growing conspiracy following it. It is called the Great Reset.
An unprecedented opportunity to rethink and reset the ways in which we live.
The great opportunity for reset.
The theory even calls Mr. Biden's campaign slogan, Build Back Better, a front for the conspiracy.
Build back better.
Building back better our economy.
Build back better.
All elements of the Great Reset are fundamental to building the future we need.
This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset.
It's a big effort to, some would say, to build back better.
The entire system is attacking us. with the end goal to kill most of us and corrupt and enslave the rest. Here is Bill Gates, getting a good laugh from a TED Talk audience on the subject of climate change when he tells them that one of these numbers is going to have to come down pretty near to zero, while the population variable from the CO2 casual equation is on the screen.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. That's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look.
Here he is again, trying to contain his laughter that the next virus will get our attention this time.
A few countries that have almost avoided the epidemic entirely, like Taiwan, New Zealand, Australia, they took their experience and actually prepared, and so they moved a lot faster. So we, we'll have to prepare for the next one. That, I'd say is will get attention this time.
What's occurring could not be more in our faces. You can either accept the fate that they have in store for us, which is coming fast and furious, or resist and respond appropriately. The choice is yours.